Greetings and hello. Welcome to the Alchemy of Success webinar. This is a crown of success, of riches of the gods, and a prosperity of Jupiter. We are sponsored by Babylon Gardens Apothecary, BabylonGardensApothecary.com, and hosted by your host, right here, Dr. Jymie Darling. I'm a PhD. And I have my PhD is in Anthropology of Ancient Religions, and I've been practicing and practicing for over 20 years. This is going to be a wonderful webinar, and I'm glad to see the room filling up here. So we're going to start. There we go. All the things we're going to be seeing. Okay, so this is a wonderful intro into how to create your own success. There are several ways to create your success, and in several philosophies. The idea is not so much that you can just go hocus pocus and you're rich. If it was that easy, you know, there'd be a lot of us sitting on the beach in the Caribbean, and you'd all have postcards. But the idea is that we are going to work this in several different formats today, and to get a great understanding of all the work, aspects, and focus that actually goes into the success realm of the self, of the mind, the material world, and the spiritual wealth. The first thing I want to introduce you to is the four worlds of working in the Tree of Life. Now, we don't have to do it in Kabbalah. As I've done in my last webinars, the Tree of Life is just one tree with several branches, each branch being a philosophy. Each philosophy builds on the trunk of the tree, so the trunk is actually very huge. And so why is this important? Because you don't have to practice it inside Kabbalah. You can take any of the religions, anything, any religion in the world, even the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and place it on the Tree of Life. And it's just a roadmap and an understanding of how things work. Okay, so there are four worlds that work in the Tree of Life. Okay? There is this one here, is the picture for you, and so that you can follow along with me. And there's four worlds, and if you look at it, it looks pretty intense, and it really isn't. You start in the bottom where we all stand, and that is in the very bottom there where your little pointer is. That's Malkuth. That can be Earth. That can be anything you want it to be. Previous webinars have put several religions in there, but for this one, I'm going to use the Tree of Life. That is Kabbalah because it's the easiest to follow. So you start in Malkuth, and we all start in Malkuth, and we're standing there, and it's in the world of Asaya. And you start and you go, oh, Asaya, what a sight. I need to get something done. I need to build something successful. And so you have 10 steps here on how to get things done. Really, what it's about is, you know, the first step was going to be, what is it that I absolutely need? Second step is going to be, is it possible for me to get it? And where am I going to get it from? In other words, don't just say, I need money. Say, I need a business to prosper. I need a raise. I need a job promotion. I want to start a new business. I need to sell this. You have to be specific, and you have to be realistic on where it's going to come from. And then you move over And you then start planning on, I don't know, what philosophy you're going to use, how, you know, get the tools together on how it's going to create, and then all the way up is all this creation. Okay? And then you get to Yetzirah, and you're like, Yetzirah, I'm going to build this. And then you build very slowly in 10 steps what you need. So in other words, you figure it out. You figure out, say, in alchemy, because alchemy is a friend to every philosophy and every religion out there. So you start out and you say, okay, for an example, I want Babylon Gardens Apothecary to be a business that I want to build. Okay? Is it something I can build? Yes. Can I get the tools for it? Absolutely. Do I know where to order everything from? Well, let's do some research here. Going up, researching. Ah, got everything. Know my suppliers. All right. So, yes, sir, let's get this going. Okay? All the way up here, I start ordering everything I need. And then I get into, by Brian, I can start building it now. And now I decide what websites, books, appearances, festivals, and you know, events that I can go to, how to get it seen, how to get us seen. And then I come up here, because it's all a lot of work, it really is. And I'm ready to run. I'm absolutely going to do a double check. Okay? And I'm going to double check that I've got all my ducks in a row. In other words, I'm going to launch. Okay? And then in the 10 steps that I'm launching, I'm making sure that everything is absolutely correct. Resale numbers, business licenses, websites, Yahoo groups, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do you see where I'm going with this? Everything's a double check. And then I launch it. Okay? Then that's when alchemy hits. I absolutely need this to work. So I run in the world of Venus right here. And that is the attraction of green. So I do a whole bunch of green magnetic work right here to draw people to it. By Brian, they're looking, they're listening. Okay? I go in here and I hit Mercury. And Mercury starts sending out word of mouth. And people start coming. And they start to smell things. Yetzirah. And the orders start coming in. And there's 10 steps to getting the orders in, or seeing where we want to go, or getting that promotion, or launching that company. And the world of Asaya is, and Yetzirah is Jupiter, and the world of Asaya is the sun. And you come down on the sun to where you manifest back where you're standing in that Mount Kuth all the riches and money that you need and the success that you're longing for. Now, everybody, I know what everybody's thinking. If it was that easy, why isn't everybody rich? Well, most people like to say, I don't need this one, and I don't need Brian, forget that one, and I'm just going to work with this one. And what you're doing is you're going, just getting parts, and it just sprinkles into you, and it's because you're not seeing a complete picture. And a lot of people look at this and they say, well, that takes time. And yes, it does take time. It really does. Babylon Gardens was a wee inspiration in my itty-bitty mind as an alchemist back in April. And it took me until July just to get up into the top world here of Absolute. And from July, I've been working my way down into the world of Asaya. And I'm about right here in Asaya. So you figure, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, January, almost February, 10 months worth of work. Could I have gone faster? Maybe, but I was very meticulous. I wanted everything to be just right. I wanted everything to be awe-inspiring and awesome. And so I took my time on it. 10 months may seem like a long time, but it's gone like a flash of the eye. And we all know that. If you looked at where you were last year to where you are this year, almost seems like it's an impossible year that's gone by, hasn't it? And so you have to batten down the hatches. You have to go ahead and cement yourself into, this is what I'm going to do. And since it's for me and the betterment of me, I'm going to go ahead and be patient. And I'm going to go ahead and commit to this. Because it's the committing that makes it possible. And if you rush through it, if you start taking out some of these trees, if you start taking out some of this, what you do is you end up having an incomplete success, and you become overwhelmed, and things start breaking down really quickly, and your reputation gets ruined, and so on and so forth. It's kind of like, what if I had launched BGA in April? Marvelous idea. The alchemical breakdowns of the oils already in my head. I can do alchemy without even having the oils in front of me and know exactly how they're going to smell. That's how good of an alchemist I am. However, if I put them up and I went ahead and skipped Yexra, and I said, well, I know where my suppliers are, no problem. But I skipped Yexra, and I just said, let's launch now. So because I want the Asaya, I want the Asaya Melku, because I need some money now. What would have happened? First of all, I would have been bombarded with orders. And at that point, I wouldn't have had anything to ship out. Then I would have had to make sure that the suppliers weren't out of stock. Had problem with customs. Had problems with UPS. Had problems with... And so I had, you know, as I was going, I saw, gee, I'm really getting into some deep water here, because I'm starting to see some blowback from suppliers and vendors. So I better have backups. I better have plan A, B, and C. And I figured that out in Yetzirah. And now, you know, it's an excitement. I open our emails every day, and there's multiple orders. And the greatest thing is that as I'm talking to you right now, and the orders are sitting in front of me, I have a room full of supplies so that I can ship out in 24 to 48 hours easily. Now, that brings back repeat customers, and you see where the head is. And so what if I wanted to go for a job interview and it was for a rocket scientist? Well, I do know quantum mathematics, and I do know explosives, and I understand you know, some of the stuff that they do in the science of it. And I may be, you know, qualified to be an assistant or to sit at a desk and file their paperwork. But if I went in and I did that, and then I did something for success, and I moved myself doing this tree and doing the philosophies and focusing on alchemy and wearing my oils and burning my incense sticks and burning my candles for it, and they came in one day and said, you know what, we've been looking at you. You're a scientist now. You know what happened? Thud. Boom. And the lab's gone, because I don't know what I'm doing. So you keep things realistic. But if I wanted that promotion to rocket scientist, maybe I should follow my tree, and that tree include schooling, degrees, tech schools, you know, all the way up, working my way up. So again, it's about making sure that you can handle and do what you are setting out to create. Everybody wants money and everybody needs money, and I get that, and I understand that 10 months from now it doesn't pay the bills today. 10 months from now it doesn't feed you. So you do other work and you do other things, and you continue to build this tree all the way up, because let's be legitimate with each other. This is a great country, and we have a great system of capitalism. You may not like capitalism, but it's the best thing we got. And if you compare it to other things in the world, Who else can start out inside a garage and create Apple computers? Who can drop out, just make it barely through high school, or maybe not through high school, and become the biggest Windows guy? Huh? I haven't worked for anybody but myself in 23 years now. Constantly working the tree, constantly moving it up. It's so possible. And the reason why there's failure out there is because people skip parts. See, if you're very focused and you are very meticulous on going from your Malkuth to an idea, to sourcing out that idea all the way up, okay, and using the tree of life for it, and you sod, figure out the ideas. But it doesn't have to be Hebrew again. We don't have to do the Kabbalah. But this house right here, that would be the wisdom to do it. Right here would be the understanding of how to get it. Tippereth would be the beauty of it. What is the attraction to it? So do you see where I'm going with this? All the way up the tree until you get to, it's a brilliant idea. Now let's see how much it's going to cost and where we can source it from. And we start back up, okay, with the wisdom on where to get it, the understanding of how it's going to flow with what we did down here, the beauty of it, in other words, the packaging and what you're going to do with how you saw it down here, so on and so forth. And it truly is a beautiful, beautiful aspect of how to create yourself a successful life and a prosperous business or a prosperous future. Now, we use the Sun, Jupiter, and Venus for the massive amount of workings. Why do we do that? Well, we do that because the Sun equals success. Okay? It is achievement. It is overcoming obstacles. Obstacles. Can't speak today. Obstacles. And it is money. So that's a good place to start, right? The Sun. That's why you want it in your world of Asaya. Okay? And you build, because you want the Sun. Why do we use Jupiter? Jupiter is often misunderstood. Jupiter equals prosperity. People don't know that. But it's also a long-term prosperity. In other words, it lets you go for Jupiter's longevity, let's say. Okay? So, longevity. It's also got a really, horrible side effect. Brings in physical health. So you don't get sick while you're building your empire. Okay? Because you don't want that. Venus, even though Venus is typically low in this arena, we're not going to use the pink aspect of Venus, but we're using the green aspect of Venus. And everybody associates green with money, and it's actually the wrong assumption. Green is actually magnetic attraction. Okay? So you've got a magnetic attraction. So you have your yellows, you have your blue, and then you add in your green. And what does this all do to us? Green attracts success, achievement, and overcoming obstacles and money. Jupiter, with Jupiter, it attracts prosperity long-term, longevity, and health. And so the green is like this quarterback that keeps throwing the ball to you from everyone else. So you want to understand that these three things work together in perfect harmony. All right, and it is a wonderful and beautiful harmony that you see going. And in all aspects, you should be throwing in that fourth player into the game, and you should be throwing in your Mercury, because your Mercury does communications and movement. You understand? And yes, I'm typing this out to you as I'm going. And so it is, Mercury is communications. And it's a wonderful add-in, because people don't realize that if you don't add in the orange part of Mercury, that movement, that Hermes, that communications, call it Elegua, call it Legba, call it Thoth, call it Hermes, call it, call it anything you want in any of the religions. But it's the communicator, and it moves you. So it allows you to have eloquence, it allows you to be seen, it gets word of mouth, it allows people to think of you, so on and so forth. Okay? Another great way to build this, if you don't want to use the tree of life per se, okay, build it with tarot cards. That's right, with tarot cards. Okay? So let me go ahead and get this into one screen where you guys can see it. Right there. All right. Here we go, because I was typing and showing you all kinds of great stuff. Here is your tarot for success. It's really a great thing. You build a pyramid, and the pyramid describes to the universe and gives you a visual of what you want and what you need, and keeps your mind on track of where you're going. It's almost like a tree. Okay? I told you I was going to do a few aspects with you today. So we look at here. You got the Magician. Why? Because you need to get the ideas. You need to get things moving. You get the funding. Okay? It starts coming in. All right? You balance the money out, and then you start manifesting money. So you bought all your goods. Okay? You created it right here. You're going to start manifesting what you want. Communications right here begins to flow in a very complete way, giving you a completion of money. And then you've got the entire bit of money with more coming, more manifestation of communications to really get you moving up to the sun, which is very successful, a lot of achievement, a big leap and spring forward of the self or of a business or anything, followed by a 9, which is in numerology, matters that must be dealt with. That means you're a power player. You must be dealt with now. Okay? You are on top. And then we top it with the world. Why? Because we want the world. Because at that point, you're balanced right here. Okay? Got the laurel leaves of achievement and winning and victory. You have the 4 creatures, right? The 4 directions. Really, that's what we were using. The Venus and the Sun and the Mercury and the Jupiter. At this point, they're all looking in at you because you've done it. You've got it. Okay? And they're just watching you enjoy it. And remember, for every beginning, there is an end. For every end, there is a beginning. And with that said, you start back on rebuilding again to a higher level of business. You keep looking on how to expand. You keep looking at yourself on how to expand. Much further can you go? Okay? How can I continue to grow both the higher self, which is knowledge and wisdom. And when we do, we feed the lower self, which is money and food and fun and all sorts of great things. And this is one of those wonderful things that you just keep doing a visual like this, and you can trade out some cards if you see that you need more movement. Put more ones in there. Stay away from threes. Stay away from eights. Okay, but you see this beautiful thing start going, and you should have this almost like a mantra or a vision board up where you can see it constantly. And this should be like a vision board of working for you. Knowing, put yourself in where you're at. See what you're striving to. Write across it. Print out a page like this and write across up here. What do you want to be? You know what I mean? What is it that you are aiming to be? And this, success and fame, fortune, and then say, and what? For me, let's say BGA and self. Because I write and I'm an author. So now all of a sudden, I've got the idea that, oh my gosh, here's what I'm aiming for. Okay, this is, I write down maybe by this card, I'm going to write expansion into spas. Okay, and maybe on this card, this one, I want to be top line items, okay, with understood, and let's see, top line items and press, big press, okay, press loving me. All right, down here, and it goes on and on and on. And you sit down and you say, but you write it down. This is what I want. This card gives me a visual of where I'm going to be. The trees gives me the idea of how to be meticulous to do this. Okay? This is more complete. You can build a huge vision board instead of just tacking up a Porsche or a Range Rover or a Lexus or a Mercedes to the board or a big house. You write it down with the visual of the cards. This gives you the idea of how to build the self in a very visual way. You download that tree and you place it down, and you start writing on each of the houses, each step that you have to take, that you have to build. And then you put it to the self, and you build your pyramid, and you put that next to it. And then you write down exactly what you want, because you're writing it. Then you can see it. Then I want you to vocalize it, because now you're complete. Visual, written, like it's in stone, vibrated out to the universe. And you got this. You got this. Okay? So, you build something like this, and you just keep going. And so you write down and you do all these great and wonderful things. And then every day, you pat yourself on the back and you look at where you're at. Then when you start going up, and you start going up the tree, and you're starting to come down, that's when you take your vision board, and you tack up the house, and you tack up the car, and you tack up an amount of money in the bank account, and you tack up vacations, and you tack up where you want to travel, and you tack up who's going to, what you want next. And you continue to build. And when you get up here and you got that success, don't stop there, my friends. Okay? Come back down and redo it to a brand new expansion. And how you're going to do that. Always keep moving. Be fluid. And it keeps you ahead of any of the waves, twos and fro's of the economy and the market. It helps you survive. So with each new idea for expansion, you start a brand new tree to work, and you start a brand new pyramid. The reason why it just can't be an offshoot is because when you go to do an expansion is a brand new line. And so you got to be just as meticulous with that line as you were with your beginning line. Now, granted, on this idea, the expansion, you move faster up the trees because you got a lot of the base work done. But you do want to start at the beginning again because you want to make sure that this expansion is meticulously done so that it's very successful and that you don't miss anything and end up going, uh-oh. You know what I mean? So you want this moment of clarity where everything is done in such a manner of expansion that and creation, and because every expansion is a creation, that you continue to go with this meticulous style. CEOs of the most powerful companies do not sit down and say, okay, this is what I'm doing today, and I'm going to be rich at it. No, believe me, there are, and I know this from business classes, there are steps that you must take. And those steps, honestly, mimic what I'm teaching you right now. And they all know these steps. Difference is, once they've made their money, they have people to do these steps for them. In other words, if we go back up here, when you're successful and you have people, then what you can do is simply come up here and say, okay, we absolutely, well, you can start up here once you have people, we absolutely need, what are you doing here? We absolutely need a, well, we absolutely need to create something, and you give it to your people, come up with ideas. And we absolutely, Yetzirah, we got it. By Briah, we can make it. Saya, here you go. Here's your profits. So it's one of these things that you can continue to create and grow using the trees and the pyramids, and nobody has to see how you do your vision board. No one. That's what's great about it. Okay? So, this is a wonderful aspect of alchemy. And now, with that said, my computer's deciding to do whatever it wants right now. With that said, we move into the colors and the color codes that you do. Okay? You always want to be surrounded by yellow and golds for the sun. You want to be surrounded by blues for the long-term prosperity. You want to have green around simply for the aspect of attraction to you. Okay? You want to then take a look at having orange around you, and that's your movement. Okay? So you want to have all these around you. Now, there are some that say that the gods and goddesses are for Saturn. The goddess Saturn gives you money. That's true. That is true. Goddess Saturn does give money. Okay? The goddess Saturn gives money in the aspect that he gives you, it's like money with a string tied to it. Do you know what I mean? It is money that is the aspect of of being able to, having a hard time with my computer here. Anyway, Saturn does a wonderful aspect where he gives you money, but it's with a string attached. In other words, he comes down, he gives you the money, and you get hit by a car, and you get more money. Or your favorite aunt dies, and you're the inheritance to that money. Your house gets hit by a plane, and everybody dies but you, and the airline has to give you a whole lot of money. See where I'm going with that on Saturn? Not a good idea. Okay, so we do this, and so you don't want to use Saturn. You want to keep to the aspect of Sun, Jupiter, and Mercury and Venus, okay, so that you can continue to grow inside the prosperity. Now, that said, we want to, I'm trying to fix my computer at the same time here. We want to run candles of those colors around us that are dressed to that alchemy, that is to that aspect, that is to any god or goddess or philosophy that you want. And if you're not going to study a philosophy, then what you do is you just simply go right to the alchemicals, which are those planets that I mentioned. You can use the Tree of Life in your philosophy, and you can build it using the aspect of the tarot cards. And you can use any tarot deck, by the way. Any tarot deck will do that. So, with that said, we move over to the spells of alchemy. Okay, so you use Jupiter, and it's the prosperity of Jupiter. And, a little self-promotion here. BGA is going to be carrying all these attractors here. Shortly after this webinar is finished, they will be posted on the Babylon Gardens site, because Babylon Gardens gives me this wonderful, huge playground. My partner allows me to run free, like a little wild Indian. I can just run free doing what I want in BGA, and so we're going to create these. So now, with that said, you use your blues, you use your yellows, you use your greens, you use your oranges. Yes, try to stay away from Saturn, because unless you are willing to, I don't know, get hit by a truck so that you can make your money, don't do it. If you're willing to get hit by a truck, well then by all means, burn a black candle and have at it. I'm not going to judge. If you're going to use a god or goddess, and here it is, I wanted to give you guys a list of how it actually pertains on the trees, in the different philosophies, on who you can call. And we're going to also be handling some of the god and goddesses at BGA too. But there is the Tuatkas, which is god of money and fertility in the Celtic. Crononus, god of wealth. Norse gods and goddesses would be Odin. He's the god of wisdom and wealth. And here's the thing. Great thing on that tree up there, you can actually post any of these gods in conjunction with each other. And the Egyptian gods and the pagan gods and goddesses that have come through are Terra, the goddess of wealth and prosperity. She's a newer aspect of Celt. You have the Egyptian gods and goddesses, Horus, god of success. Renanet, which is the goddess of wealth. East African gods and goddesses, Wamala, which is the god of wealth and prosperity. And Anaye Role, which is the god of wealth. West African god and goddesses are the Ashiakal, goddess of wealth and prosperity. Aye, which is the goddess of wealth and prosperity and earth. Also, you see her pronounced as Ashe. Okay. Osanabua, which is the wealth, prosperity, and healing and health god. You got the Nubian, which is Deadwind, which is the god of wealth and prosperity. Buddhists. I'm not even going to try that. I just don't think my tongue can get around that one. But it is, Sabhagye Bonafaspari, goddess of good luck, fortune, and prosperity. Chinese gods and goddesses. Sasai Shen, god of wealth. Roman gods and goddesses. You got Fortuna, the goddess of luck, fortune, and fate. Okay. Abundantia, which is the goddess of luck, abundance, and prosperity. She distributed food and money from the cornucopia. The Copia, which is the goddess of wealth and plenty. Source, which is the god of luck. Pluto, god of wealth, was associated purely with the bounty of rich harvest, wealth of the land. Monete, kind of like monetary, goddess of wealth and prosperity and good counsel, which is good advisor, surrounding yourself with good people. You have the Hindu gods and goddesses. Kubera, god of wealth and prosperity. Shrim, which is god of wealth, and Lakshmi, which is the goddess of material wealth and spiritual wealth. Great thing that you can do is you can figure out where you want them in the tree. You can build them onto the tree, on who you want to work with, in what part of the tree. You can take from all of them if you'd like. There is no pollution in doing that. You can assign them onto the pyramid cards that you've done, or you can go find pictures of them and build a pyramid with each of the gods and goddesses' pictures. So it's this huge amount of work that you can do of visualization, and it's the visualization that comes to you in such a unique and powerful way that it's an awesome amount of leaps and bounds and success. And I know that going up the first parts of the tree and the timing, and I know this from personal experience, you can get discouraged. Don't let it discourage you. Keep your eye on the top of that pyramid. Keep your eye at the top of your vision board. Keep your eye on up the tree and down the tree. You build up the tree in idealism and product. Coming down the tree, you build and launch in the material world, in the physical world. And it's a great aspect on how to become, how to enlighten the mind, as well as enlighten the bank, as well as enlighten your pockets. And the best thing is that when you do things like this, and you're meticulous, and you're doing your vision boards, and you're doing the tree, and you're doing the pyramid of tarot cards, and you're using your oils, and you're using your incense, and you got your candles, so that you're surrounded constantly by your journey to keep you focused. And you start seeing where you've taken a step on that vision board. The discouragement kind of fades away, kind of goes away. It's replaced by, I know where I'm going, and this can be big, and I know it's going to be big, and it's going to be big, and now it's big. And it truly is what you surround yourself with, what you look at every day, and what comes out of your mouth. Colors count. Alchemy counts. Having oils, having incense that always gets your mind back into that focus. Vision boards, best thing in the world. See it and then be it. Okay? You see the candles burning, you got this. You smell it, you got this. You look at the vision board and you check off your accomplishments, you got this. And you can continue. And it's building blocks of how to not be a flash in the pan. Rich one day and poor the next. You can take in total destruction And if you can put it down on your vision board, this is what I'm going to rebuild as, and you do the long steps, the whole climb, you get it. And then nobody can actually shake that from you. You know, not the economy, not competitors, because you've done something they haven't. You've built with a strong foundation. And that's the key to true success, the foundational work. And it's the work that drives you mad. It's the work that drives you insane. And it's the work that makes you a king. So, and it makes you on top of the world. And a friend of mine told me once about the whole law of attraction thing. Actually, it was my wife. And it dawned on me. They're saying the same thing I'm saying, but they're not giving you the complete story. They're leaving out the in-between and letting you walk around, and that's discouraging. Another person who's my partner in BGA, Miss Sherry, told me, you are who you surround yourself with. So name off the 5 closest people to you, because who they are is what you are. Who's your 5 closest people to you? And they are who you are. You know, we look at it. What does Donald Trump surround himself with? Successful people. He may be a jerk. You may not like him. But he surrounds himself with meticulous people who build a foundation. Okay? And he surrounds himself with nothing but success. You know, you don't have to give up your friends. But you can surround yourself with that success. And name the 5 things that you're doing to surround yourself with success. Like, see, I got my candles, I got my oils, I got my incense, I got my vision board with my tree of life, my tarot card alchemies, and my gods and goddesses. And the 5th thing I've got is me. Surround myself with me. Okay? And that's how you work your success. And that's how you continue to create. And that's how you build your foundation to have an empire. It works. It really does. And this is the secret that nobody wants you to know. They want you to think that you can just throw yourself up on Etsy and be okay, and that Facebook will answer all your problems, or having a website is all that you need to do. No, it isn't. It's doing what you need to do to attract people to you, to surround yourself with those 5 things that make you great so that you can go forward. And that's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tool that I'm handing to you today. It is the best tool that I can give you, and it's what CEOs do. It is what millionaires do. It is what successful speakers talk about, successful businesses build themselves on, that have lasted for decades. We're not talking about the businesses that open and in 2 months they're gone, and that's the reason why. They open, in 2 months, they're gone. They didn't build a foundation. Okay? You don't want to be that flash in the pan. You don't want to keep constantly tap dancing and struggling to get back up only to fall a few months later. And it doesn't happen if you follow the rules of foundational success. And you use the foundational success planets and gods and goddesses, or whatever philosophy you want to use. But whatever it is, and it could just be your words, I don't care. It could be pictures of you, don't care. And build that foundation upwards. Okay? And when you're successful, you can look at that vision board and go, haha, I did this. Where am I going to go next? What am I going to build next? Let's have something else. Yes. See what I'm saying? It's all about meticulous foundation building. One project can fund the rest of your life and all other projects, as long as everything underneath you is firm and cemented. It's a great foundation. The Alchemy of Success webinar It was sponsored by Babylon Gardens Apothecary, BabylonGardensApothecary.com. In a few minutes, well, probably in about an hour, the webinar here will be up there, and all the webinars will start being placed underneath the Dr. Darling's Classroom tab on Babylon Gardens. I'll be placing up the entire classroom today on that. I am your host, and I thank you for coming. I am Dr. Jymie Darling. And if you wanted to get candles and spells, Panpipes Magickal Marketplace is the place to be. They have the best candles and best dress candles for what you're working at. If you don't have tarot cards, they do. If you like me and you like my books, it'll also be up on Babylon Gardens Apothecary inside the classrooms, and the classes that I teach are listed at jymiedarling.com. There are more webinars to come, and I will continue to do this as long as you continue to come.